Yo, 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 we are back again. Are you ready for the weekend stream right here? We are back. Oh, hang on. We're getting feedback from somewhere. Stream right here. Oh, hang on. We're getting feedback from somewhere. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2.
It's got to be this shitty music.
Okay, crappy music, but somebody's got an open thing somewhere. Okay, crappy music. What the heck? Got an open thing somewhere. Guys, check you haven't got a browser open with volume on. Got an open thing somewhere. Guys, check you haven't
I don't
got
have
a browser
anything open
with
in there.
Volume on.
Everybody close out their chat rooms real quick.
That's it. No.
I don't have anything open.
Right, stand by, folks. Stand by, folks.
Everybody
we'll be here in a
close out their
second.
chat rooms real quick.
That's it. No.
I don't have anything open.
Right, stand by, folks. Stand by, folks. We'll be here in a second.
Chat rooms real quick.
That's it. No.
I don't have anything open.
Right, stand by, folks. Stand by, folks. We'll be here in a second.
Chat rooms real quick.
That's it. No.
I don't have anything open.
Right, stand by. I don't have any of the shows open, so I don't know where it's coming from.
Me neither.
I don't have anything open, Kev, just Skype.
I don't have any of the shows open, so I don't know where it's coming from. What the heck?
I don't have anything open, Kev, just Skype.
I don't have any of the shows open, so I don't know where it's coming from. Right, folks, stand by. We've got a problem. What is going on?
Is it the simulcast?
Stand by,
Knock-
stand by. We've got a problem.
I don't have any of those browsers open.
What is going on?
No, I'm saying, is it you're simulcasting?
It shouldn't be because it can't be coming back from anywhere. I don't have. Close the stream down, Joe. Come out of YouTube. Don't watch on YouTube. Any of you. Just
I don't have anything open.
Same here.
Close
Right,
Whoever
hang on,
has
folks.
anything open?
Folks, we'll be back in a minute.
I don't have anything open.
We'll be back in a minute, okay? Stand by. Right,
Whoever
hang on,
has
folks.
any-
Here we go. It's okay.
Did you
It's
figure
okay.
it out?
Yep. Yes, we figured it out. We are figuring it out. We got there. We got there. Chill out. We're good. We're good. We're coming back. We're coming back. Dang!
I think we were streaming through multiple dimensions, man.
Yeah, we
We-
were totally.
Right. Tell the chat room to refresh or
I
something,
would-
Joe.
I would, except I'm not there.
Oh, it's one of these days, boys. One of these
go back.
days. Woohoo! Yeah, everyone in the chat room is at least getting a good laugh at this, you know? A right good laugh at it. So we're good. We're good to go, right?
Damn Russians.
We are.
So if you're in,
The Russians did it.
I was going to say refresh the stream, but if you haven't refreshed it, you're not going to hear me saying that anyway, right? So
Right.
welcome. We'll start again, right? Welcome to this week's weekend stream. I'll hold my hands up. I was shouting at Joe. I thought it was Joe. It was me. It was me. I had a DLive stream open because, as you know, today we are on YouTube. Joe, fuck off. We are on YouTube and DLive. Yes, we are simulcasting. Not only that, we have got, look at him, the man himself, Johnny Whistles.
Oh,
in
man,
the
that's
house.
great. How awesome is it to have the Whistler back in action?
Yep, the Templar himself. Yeah, great to be here, Kevin. Your first D-Wave show.
Yeah, forget DLive. It's D-Wave. Yeah, so
No, it's D-Wave. It's especially the way that started. That was a different dimension, I'm telling you.
that was crazy, boys. That was crazy. And apologies to everyone out there who had to suffer through that. But we're here. We're live. And, I mean, we did say on the actual thumbnail what could possibly go wrong. Everything that could go wrong has already gone wrong. So, how you doing, guys? We all ready for another night of madness?
Madness. Yeah.
Lots of
The world's
madness.
mad, so why not be mad with it, Kev?
Absolutely. Big shout out. We'll go through some of the chatters in there before we get going here. I see Lee Veltman in there. Big shout out to you. Dick Richards, John Krakow. We have got Lisa. We have got Dave Martin, Tessa, the one and only Elemental Arts, aka our good friend Nancy. We've got Leanne in there. Too many to go through. Thank you all for tuning in today. And I think we'll start off by talking about the fact that we are simulcasting. It's not just on YouTube. We're over on DLive. Now, obviously, this is the new platform that is trying to provide a rival kind of place for streamers to go. They have attracted PewDiePie, which has obviously increased the interest in DLive and all the rest of it. However, guys, we need to discuss DLive because we might have actually come across our first problem and we haven't really even started using it yet, right?
Oh.
And for anyone out there, you know, DLive, it all runs on blockchain. It's decentralized. They've got their own cryptocurrency, Lino points they're called. And you have to buy them through PayPal. But I'm telling everyone right now here, please, please, please just refrain from using your PayPal to buy stuff of DLive. And the reason being that there might be a problem. Found this earlier on today. And I'll bring this up just now. We'll play this quickly. But seemingly, guys, PayPal are not happy at the fact that DLive, basically, your Lino points, you can cash them out to PayPal or you can use PayPal to buy them, okay? And they're saying that it breaks their terms of service. Just take a quick listen to this.
Buying cryptocurrency via PayPal, which is the way that DLive actually transfers currency back and forth, is apparently against PayPal's terms of service. Messaged PayPal and then sent this in, and PayPal responded they're probably going to lock down DLive.
So, guys, And Scott, I'll come to you first because this is what we were talking about the other night, right? The fact that anytime any rival to one of the big companies comes along, there's always seemed to be some kind of spanner thrown into the works. And I've been calling all these tech companies the Illum'TECH'nati. We've had Patreon kicking people off. We've had PayPal balking at people already for taking donations when they're, say, from the alt-right, conspiracy world, stuff like that. And I think, Scott, we're seeing PayPal being the ones that are trying to stick a spanner in DLive's works. What do you think, man?
Well, I mean, yeah, this is exactly what we've talked about, you know, and this is why it's so hard for any of these alternative platforms to gain traction, because you end up seeing like some kind of outrage or somebody bringing something up about these platforms, and then next thing you know, their source of like payment methods end up getting cut, and banking ends up getting cut, and they just kind of cut them off from their from their financial sort of stuff, and then at that point there's no way for them to operate, you know. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like, I call it the big tech oligopoly. You know, you call it
Illum'TECH'nati.
Yeah, Illum'TECH'nati. You know, it just shows how much of a problem this is now. You know, how much of a problem this sort of monopolistic stranglehold these companies have on the internet. And, you know, this is... You know, we need a free market, and this is totally not a free market system because they've cornered everything, and anybody that comes along to compete with them, as you can see, you know, PayPal ends up getting cut off. They can't utilize PayPal anymore, so they have to try to find alternative methods. And how many alternative methods are there? You know, I mean, you're stuck using this stuff, and it's so frustrating. It's very, very frustrating because there are so many companies out there that can provide an alternative and are innovating and thinking of new ways of doing things, and then it's like they're just strangled in the crib, you know, before they even have a chance to walk.
You know, Nancy in the chat, great point already. Personally, this is why I believe it'd be crazy to go to a completely cashless society. It gives the control over the banking over to the banking elite, who can decide perhaps one day to just lock your account. And that's definitely one kind of problem that's attached to a cashless society. One day that the machine just says no, and you're locked out of whatever kind of coin it is you're using. But Joe, I'll come to you now. You know, alternative platform. We're all quite excited about being on DLive. PewDiePie's over there, but it's looking like it might have some issues. You know, I didn't realize, not that it bothers me, but it's all kind of built upon Chinese seed money, 20 million, I think, dollars. And also, I haven't noticed, by the way, I'm going to say right now, I've checked my GPU, everything looks good, but in the early days of DLive, they were saying that your resources, your machine resources were basically getting gobbled up. People were having smoke coming off their GPUs, and that was because basically you were mining the Bitcoin or their actual crypto coin, which is the Lino coin or Lino tokens, whatever you call it.
I must also mention that DLive was initially based off of Steemit, and then they moved over to Lino. So,
yeah, from what I know, Lino's their own actual crypto coin. And that's just second-hand information. I'm taking it from the brief video I watched, guys. I could be wrong. But Joe, your thoughts on this one, man? It's an alternative. It looks good, but is it ever going to work? Are we ever going to be allowed to have anything grow?
RT was the alternative to the mainstream media for a while, because what better way was there for Russia to jam it up the government's took us over here than to tell people the truth about what was going on, right? So, and that's really kind of where the whole fake news thing started, was you had Russiagate, then Vilify, RT. As a matter of fact, I think RT had to register as something of like a foreign agent And then, they've been restricted and things like that. So certainly seeing the same thing here. Now you have a competitor to YouTube. Remember, the government is using this to basically, through the private sector, come about censoring all these platforms. So they get them to self-censor. Well, China's not going to self-censor anything that they don't want. So they're going to start trying to limit the reach and limit the power of this platform simply because it's Chinese, even though, like I said, they're not out trying to do anything crazy outside of just giving the people a place to say something without all of the craziness, I don't know. I think it doesn't matter who seeds it, but obviously anything like this, you're going to have resources in order to launch something like that and get it going. And we just don't have that. And then the people that do typically are not friends of the ones that are causing all this stuff in the United States in the first place, or the EU, the West, So I mean, it's just going to go the way of the dodo, like everything else. They'll get bought out, and everybody's going to, basically cry. But there's not going to be anything real.
See, Scott.
Solution.
It's not just me that's a cynical bastard, Scott.
It's only because we've seen it happen 1,000 times already.
No, I know, but I want to give a big shout out to No Name over on DLive. I don't know what the hell it means when you've been donated a lemon, but I've been donated a lemon, so we're in, boys. We're one lemon up. How does that feel? Whistles.
Lemon up.
Yep, Whistles, how you doing, man? It's great to have you here. We met each other through YouTube, dude, and here we are now branching out into other platforms. Do you think anything's ever going to rival YouTube, Johnny?
Not really, Kev. To be honest with you,
Same.
I mean, everybody got used to YouTube. The only thing is it's changed over the years so much that there's that many people getting kicked off it now. And another one I seen today was the Still Report. And he has been given a YouTube strike. And the thing is, he's ready to lose his channel because it was Sean Hannity that actually gave him the strike. And he thinks he's going to get another couple off Sean Hannity just for, the usual. And it wasn't anything bad he said about him. He didn't agree with something he said, but...
Well, John, I noticed today when I was on YouTube, a big blue message bar at the top was highlighting the fact even 2 seconds of other people's content can be enough to not only demonetize a stream, but also, like you're saying there, get you a strike. And this is why I was so happy to have Ian Corzine, the YouTube lawyer or the social media lawyer, on, because he was able to clear up a couple of things. He says the safest way, guys, is just not use anyone else's content. That's right. Yeah, it's just the safest way to go. And we're going to try as best we can not to show too much of other people's content. But you just never know when you're going to, infringe these copyrights. And you've got this whole false flagging thing that goes around now as well. You annoy one part of the community, the hate community. Everything's a gate now, Joe. You got like P-gate, everything, donut gate and all the rest of it. Call it hate, because that little group hates on anyone who isn't into that conspiracy, and the other group hates on anyone that isn't into that conspiracy. It's craziness. And all you've got to do is say one wrong word, annoy one person, and that's you're getting struck down. And the way YouTube's set up, it's so hard to appeal against it. It's really crazy times, man.
Yeah. No, it truly is. And what I think you're going to come to find out is the internet's going to be more and more splintered. And then problem, reaction, solution. Oh, well, we've got a solution for you. Why it's called Internet 2 or something like that, where you register and you get, basically an identity, if you will, something that validates who you are, much like what they're talking about over in the UK, going to buy that card or whatever. And, you're gonna have a, for lack of a better term, like a an encrypted, say, identification card or something like that. You know?
Well, I was noticing today.
Something to tie your identity to what you're doing. They need to do it. And that's really what it's about. They do not want anonymous at all. You know, that's the way it is. So it really kind of sucks.
Well, you mentioned the UK there. And we were talking about the fact they were setting up the internet safety czar that was going to make the internet a SJW safe space friendly kind of place, right? Then today, I noticed another story. I'm not going to play any of the clip because really, Russia today, as much as I love them, they've got another company that works with them called Ruptly, and they're absolutely brutal. You can't even show half a second of their content. But check out the headline here, guys. New UK law, up to 15 years jail for watching terrorist content. Well, that's fair enough, but who decides what's terrorist content? You know, there's been a bit of a kind of backlash against anyone speaking negatively against vaccines just lately. Is that eventually going to be classed as terrorist content?
Probably so. Yeah.
That's the thing, Joe. Who's the, again, we keep saying it, who's the final decision lie with what's good, what's bad? You know, what's terrorist, what's not?
Yeah, and I forgot who it was. I'll have to go and look because I'll have to find out who exactly it was that said this. But they basically said that anti-vaxxers are a hate group. And the reason they're a hate group is because they hate their own children.
Wow.
So,
let that sink in.
Good grief.
But it makes sense, though. With everything else that's going on with the anti-vax thing at the moment, Facebook closing down all the groups, everything else, it's no surprise that now they're getting called a hate group. And is it going to be classed as terrorism since basically they're encouraging harm to others? That's not our point of view, but from
yeah, I'm saying but that's their rational.
Yep.
That's their rationale. That's what they're trying to say. Is so they're trying to say this person was wanting anti-vaxxers classified as a hate group because they hate their own children. Is basically what they said. I'm like, wow, what a hell of a
and really,
thing,
you know, in reality, that's not true. In reality, they're doing it because they love their children. And because they did their research and came to that conclusion, you know, that's the truth. But
it's Orwellian, right? They reverse everything. You know, it's flipped upside down. So,
yeah,
you know, because if you look at it, anti-vaxxers are actually the most informed. They're the ones that actually read the inserts. They're the ones that actually do the research on the safety of them. And then when you look into it, you go, oh, well, it's actually not that safe. It's actually quite dangerous. And so I want to protect my children, and I don't want this poison injected into them. But, you know, because
I like that from Dick Richards in the chat. These people calling everything hate groups need to be labeled a hate group.
it's true. That's all they do is hate.
Yep.
They hate everybody on the list.
Yeah, they are the definitions of haters. They are the haters because they hate anybody that has a difference, you know, an alternative opinion to theirs.
It's
so
bizarre.
It's like the people that get vaccines and then complain about kids playing with kids that have non-vaccinated. Now, if there's kids vaccinated, what's the problem with that if they're... Do you know what I mean?
That was my point the other night, and then Joe educated me. It's something to do with this harm thing, Joe, wasn't it? Oh, you're muted up.
No, it's okay. What was that?
Remember I said to you the other night, I said, you know, what's the problem? If your kid's vaccinated and he's playing with another child that isn't vaccinated, what's your problem? If your kid's got the vaccine, you shouldn't worry, right?
It shouldn't have any problems, right? That's right. But again, their whole argument kind of centers around the herd immunity. And they say basically, well, if without the herd immunity, well, then, you know, you have X amount of percentage of the population is vaccinated. So therefore we can consider that disease eradicated at that point. But if that percentage drops, well, then people will get sick. Yeah. The people that didn't get vaccinated will get sick. But those that got vaccinated, if they work as advertised, you're not going to get sick. So what do you care? Mm-hmm. Doesn't make any difference, right? So their argument to me just doesn't hold water. And then, of course, well, it could mutate. Yes, and
That's what viruses do.
and cats, that's kind of the natural thing. It's what it does. And be honestly, to be honest about it, it's going to mutate regardless. You know what I mean? That's what they do. You're absolutely right. So I don't know, Kev. All I can say is we are certainly not free, not by any means. Anybody that tries to tell you, I mean, you can tell them and give them a myriad of reasons, and then the ad hominem attacks start a la, well, then you're just a conspiracy theorist. Oh, I hope they're not talking about that anti-vax conspiracy crap. You know?
Talking of conspiracy crap, Joe, that takes us nicely to our first story today. And the headline here reads, why conspiracy theories are getting more absurd and harder to refute. Joe,
Yeah, maybe
I need to go and I need to send a link to my mum and my brother and things. So could you take this away while I deal with this housekeeping in the background?
I can, absolutely.
Good man.
It's absolutely, you've got people basically pissing on your leg and telling you that it's raining. That's what they're doing. Listen to this. Are we living in the golden age of conspiracy theories? They ask. And this is Vox.com. It says, that's the argument of Harvard politics professor Nancy Rosenblum, author of a book, a lot of people are saying. And it's not merely that conspiracy theories are thriving. They're also getting more absurd, less substantive, and harder to refute. In fact, what we're seeing now, according to Rosenblum and her co-author Russell Muirhead, is more conspiracyism and less theory, which is to say the purpose of conspiracy theories is no longer to explain reality or offer some account of the world. Instead, the point is to erode trust in public figures or institutions. She points out to the recent Pizzagate conspiracy as a perfect example. Look at that. Isn't that great how they always go back to that? And they use all of the key terms too. This was fake news, a fake news story alleging that Hillary Clinton and her former campaign chair, John Podesta, ran a child sex ring in the basement of a pizzeria. Okay, so let's just say, for example, that it was not at a pizzeria. You're telling me that they don't and we're not involved in that? Is there not enough other documentation out there to prove that not only did it happen with them, but look at the Franklin cover-up. I mean, all you got to do is read that book. And that was written by an elected official.
I would go for the Franklin cover-up over the 12 dodgy emails and that FBI document that conveniently gave us all the code words that Mr. Podesta allegedly used. Because at least
and
the
art, all the art. I mean, the crazy art that they have.
Don't get me. I mean, listen, Podesta's creepy characters. But is there anything that came out of those emails and that investigation into that Italian food shop that you could take to a court and get them done? Not really. Not really at all. And when you check into the actual FBI document that gave out all the code words, and I have to give a shout out to Uni again for this, because I would never have known this. I thought that thing was bona fide. But when you actually phone up the FBI number that's on that, I think it was 2007 or something, they released the code words that these nasty bastards use about the hot dogs and everything else. Well, that actual office, the phone number, it leads to nowhere. And nobody's ever been able to prove that that one document with all the code words, you know, the one that gets me so much grief about my logo and things, nobody's ever been able to prove that that is actually genuine. And it didn't come out the same as all of the rest of the WikiLeaks releases that we've had in the past. And we're going to get into WikiLeaks. And you have to wonder, were we all baited into that to take attention off the fact that there really was crimes committed in those emails, i.e. rigging the Democratic primaries, a whole heap of other things as well. And while we were all chasing our tails round a pizza shop, everything just continued the same as it always did, Scott. And not only that, but as a community, we all ended up looking hellishly stupid because people are going, what are you talking about? You know, it's another way to demonize the entire community, and you're muted up, Scotty.
No, I'm not muted.
You're with us. You're good.
Okay. No, you're right. I think it was a honey trap, right? They put that out there because they knew that the conspirasphere would flock to it, and it would draw people's attention to that, and everyone would be focused on the Italian restaurant, and it was just a giant diversion. And you're right, it did. It ended up making everybody kind of look stupid, you know, and it discredited a lot of people. And you know what? I'll admit, I mean, I was one of them that was kind of baited into it. I remember I did a few broadcasts with people in alternative media, you know, talking about it, and you know, it was a very tantalizing thing, but in the end, it was just a giant, waste of time. And the thing is that it also took away from the fact that, these people really are into that stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The global elite, and we're talking about like global sort of operations going on here, and it kind of took everyone's eyes off the bigger picture, is basically what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And it all focused it into this one thing that was a honey trap that really, like you said, you can't prove anything. Yeah, sure. A lot of the emails were really weird. The art was really weird.
Oh, they're definitely sickos, Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but that's nothing that you can present in a court of law and
It's
have
all
them.
right. It's all circumstantial, totally and completely circumstantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all circumstantial, and I don't know. It's just
The way
the
the
whole
main
thing.
They're sick. They're sick fucks, but they all are. You got to
Yeah.
understand that there's a certain level of sickness that you have to possess in order to do business in that arena. You know what I mean? It's not for Mr. Nice Guy. We'll put it that way. None of them got the positions where they're at, doing the things that they do with the power that they have by being Mr. Nice Guy and looking out for you, Scotty.
Exactly. And so the whole PG thing, it's just like the SH thing.
Yep.
Right, Kev?
Yep.
So the SH thing, I mean, look at what that did to Jones. Look at how they used SH and basically destroyed Jones.
Yep.
That was another kind of like honeypot situation where, you ended up getting this thing thrown about that like nobody died.
That was
what I mean?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
and then everybody flocked to it. Everybody started pushing that.
Right.
In the end, it made everybody look stupid.
Right.
And batshit crazy. And then everyone's
When-
like, "Oh my God, look at these lunatics saying that nobody died."
When in reality, people died, right? Now,
Yeah.
it may not have happened the way that they did it, and they may have even went so far as to throw in inconsistencies because they knew that people would be watching and paying attention. And then who knows? Maybe they even perpetrated that rumor and got it started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I think, Joe. With hindsight looking back, we always did say, why is it so obvious? Why is it so easy for us to find some people at one event and then
Right.
it's so obvious that they're at another event, they're at multiple events? It's too easy. We're not up against idiots here. They're
Yeah.
highly, highly clever. So they done that on purpose.
I live less than an hour away from there. And I'm telling you, the people that doubt that they died, people died. The kids, they did. There's no doubt in my mind. They did. And I can tell you that, you know what it's very similar to? And Popeye ran into this, and he talked about it maybe 2 Sundays ago, was that Pulse nightclub.
Yep.
Right? Now, Again, he lives 20 minutes away from there. There's no doubt that happened, that it occurred. But again, there's inconsistencies that were thrown out there to make things appear to be different than what actually happened, right? And they were. But there's all I can say, Kev, is that there is, of course, there's differences. We're always going to find those things that the mainstream media doesn't do and that or doesn't pick up on that we do. But it's like you say, they almost do it for a reason, to make us look like we're batshit crazy lunatics, you know? And in reality, we're not. All we want is justice. All we want is truth. And it's like we'll never get it. You know, we'll never, ever get it. And now more than ever, because how do you know what's real? With all this video spoofing and
you've seen what I can do to you on Photoshop, Joe. I'm getting my After Effects skills up now. So, I mean,
yeah, it's canny.
The experts out there at, you know, video manipulation and things, it's so hard to tell. It really, really is. And Whistles, you know, definitely no doubt about the fact that Podesta's bad people. But your take on the SH stuff that you just heard us talking about, do you think we were baited into that? Or do you still think that was a fake event? What's your thoughts, Whistles?
Actually, Kev, SH, I have never even heard it, mate. That shows you how long I've been away.
I'll type it in the chat room. You have heard of it, dude.
Oh, yeah, you've heard of it.
You've heard of it.
So what is this? What is this SH?
It's in the chat room on Skype.
It's in the chat. It's in the Skype chat, Johnny.
Right.
He's been away for a while.
Oh, man.
There you go.
You see, since you've been away, Johnny, we now have to talk in like code words and things.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. That you know, just that's the way we roll.
Yeah. Okay. SH. Right. I think it was totally fake. The reason being, there's too many things, like the guy saying that they were all killed with the long gun straight away. Do you know what I mean? Giving out the amount of dead and things, but they were all shot with. No, that doesn't happen, and it's never ever happened before. So I don't know why it happened at Sandy Hook. There's too many things that just don't add up. And I honestly think it was just to come after the guns, but I really think it backfired on them big time.
Okay.
That's my take.
Yeah. I mean,
in some ways it did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that there's so many inconsistencies with these events now that, you know, I mean, it isn't so hard. I mean, you can understand why somebody would say, hey, you know, I think this event was fake, you know, or staged or something.
I used to think that myself, you know. I had Jim Fetzer on the show talking about how, you know, his series of books, nobody had died there. So, I mean, I was there. It's just looking back now with hindsight and really digging into some of the information that's come out. I don't know. I question it. And I really do feel whether it was fake or not, they certainly put things out there to bait us in and run with. And now look how they're being used against us, you know?
The thing is that it's not so much the event anymore. It's the response to the event.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah,
so, I mean, if it was real or if it was fake, it doesn't really matter. The response to the event is the same, you know, and the way that the media portrays everything and the agenda that they push is the exact same. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can try to point out, you know, maybe it's fake, maybe it's real or whatever, but that's getting bogged down into the like minutia of the event and not really responding to how they're reacting to it, as far as the media and the politicians and the powers that shouldn't be. You got to remember, never let a good crisis go to waste. So even if the event is real and totally, they have nothing to do with it, and it's not a false flag or whatever, they're still going to use that event to their advantage.
Sure.
And so, but that's why I think it's kind of ridiculous now to even get into that whole thing of, was the event fake or was it real?
That's what I do.
How do you determine? I mean, that's the thing.
That's my position now. You know, I just leave the event and I look to see what's passing after it. You know, the likes of people in Australia getting 15 years in jail or getting threatened with jail time for watching the Christchurch thing. Us over here in the UK now, if we watch videos that are questionable, we get the jail. That's my position. I look at the fallout and what it's used for, because you can argue till the cows come home. I mean, when was SH? Years ago. And still here we are now, Vast amounts of people think it was fake. Same amount of people think it was real.
Plus, one of the key things that you should always do is the 72-hour wait.
Yes.
When an incident happens, wait. I know it's hard, but wait 72 hours before you draw any conclusions, because so much happens when...
You used to watch me when I first started YouTubing, Joe. I used to think it was best to be first. And to hell with, waiting for information to come in. Just get out there. Just get first,
Exactly.
And that wasn't even necessarily be first to come up with some crazy conspiracy around it or anything like that. Just get the news out there. But no, it was yourself, Popeye, and you're right, 72 hours, as long as it takes.
A lot of things happen in those first 72 hours. And then, by that time, you get to see how everything unfolds. And you get to see how these things play out, and it plays out the same way every time, because you've always got those same people, the same voices doing the same thing, and you just wait, and pretty soon, you can start to formulate a semi decent idea of what's actually going on with that event.
And another thing I must mention is, when these events happen, is to pay attention to the local news in the area as opposed to national news, right? So something, a good example would be like the Orlando thing, right? When something like that happens, it's always best to go and look at the coverage of local Orlando news stations, as the event is, breaking and all of that stuff. So you pay attention to local news, because you see things there that end up getting filtered out later on in national news. So, I think that's another thing. The 72 hour wait and paying attention to local news is the best way to kind of gauge what's really going on, because they'll sometimes admit a lot of things there or bring out certain things on the local news, talking to witnesses and stuff that end up going away, if you're going to watch the coverage later on, like Fox or CNN or something like that. So
because Scott, as you say, Joe, it's always the same every single time. It's like you've got the people who come out straight away and say fake. So you have that argument about fake and real for a couple of days, and then you start getting videos, and people have been arguing about videos for the next few days, and then it starts becoming silly. Do you know what I mean? It becomes silly that nobody knows what's real and what's fake anymore.
I think,
it's uncanny. It really, truly is. The way technology. We talked about it last night on Freaky Friday. The technology curve is it's accelerating ever faster, if you will, and as it does, the behavior is kind of not changing with it. It's almost happening so fast that we're having trouble adjusting. Not to mention the fact that there are a lot of people that are taking advantage of it, and not for the right reasons too, by the way. And so there's a serious crisis kind of fomenting here, and I don't quite know how to deal with it. to deal with the fact that everything you watch and everything you see, how do you trust it?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I mean, you look at China, they're using AI news presenters, CGI generated. It looks like a normal dude if you didn't know any different,
Could be.
But how do you know?
Right.
You just can't know.
Don't know. So anyway, I just found it interesting that this whole conspiracy thing is getting traction. There's a lot of writing about it right now, along with the vilification of movements that basically started and got where they are today because of a free and open internet. And now they're being snuffed out. Like the anti-vax, like we were saying, the anti-vaxxers. Their only crime is being informed, And if you're vaccinated, what do you have to be afraid of? You're vaccinated. So if somebody makes the choice to not vaccinate, well, that's their choice. They assume the risk, but they did the research. And that's what they want to do. I don't know what the big deal is.
Terrorists, a lot of them.
Terrorists. All of them.
Hey, what else we got? Come on. What else we got, boys? What else we got? We've got loads.
Terrorists.
Yeah.
Speaking of terrorists, right? So there was this terrorist duo, if you will.
Folks, this is crazy biscuits. Wait till you get a load of this.
Apparently in Wisconsin, there's a lack of things to do. And in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, a woman does karate and a son gets nude. And the dog steals cornbread mix from Walmart.
Just your
how many cliches can you have in one headline, man?
Holy moly. Listen to this. A mother and her son are in custody.
I might have to find one to top that. Hold on.
Okay. After causing a ruckus at Walmart Wednesday night, and by the way, their dog chipped in too, the Eau Claire Police Department identified 46-year-old Lisa Smith and her son, 25-year-old Benny Van, as the suspects. Investigators said the dog is named Bo. Responding officers said they found Smith yelling in the doorway trying to summon Bo. Smith allegedly brought Bo into the store without a leash, so he easily ditched his owner and started running up on unsuspecting customers. And while Bo was doing that, Smith began tearing apart store displays and placing them in her shopping cart. Now, Walmart staff asked her to leave, and she complied. Police say she left the store to perform karate moves in the parking lot. Yeah. Bo, on the other hand, had not been brought to heel. By the time anyone found him, he was on his way out of the store with a box of Jiffy cornbread muffin mix in his mouth. So police arrested Smith, but it wasn't without a fight. She had allegedly kicked out a patrol car window when they finally got her in custody. Wow. So she's got some serious power. Look at that. She knows karate.
Dude. I'm like 43 this year. She is only 3 years older than me. Either she had a paper round in downtown Fallujah or something like that, or she has got a serious relationship with some hard drugs.
Yeah, hard drugs. Listen to this. Meanwhile, police said Van was running amok inside the store. He allegedly took off his clothes in the rear of the Walmart and exposed himself to everybody. Now, fortunately for them, he tried to cover himself by putting on the clothes Walmart had on the racks. Yeah, even so, police said he didn't try to purchase them, so that's also a crime. Now, officers approached and commanded him to end the madness, but he refused. Authorities said Van even used a scooter in an attempt to run over an officer. Now, you know how fast those scooters go, right? The ones that yeah. So this is madness. Now,
come on, Joe. The things are electric. They got a lot of torque. They could do a lot of damage if you.
So Van faces charges for lewd and lewd behavior, disorderly conduct, and retail theft. Smith is charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and misdemeanor bail jumping. Bo, however, was not charged, and he was excused. He just got a warning for theft. So the dog got a warning. So this is crazy.
Joe, What were they on? Is it
It doesn't
some new
say.
drug it's out?
It
Is
doesn't
there a new
say.
drug out there?
Yeah, Johnny, they must have been buying a whole rake
There's
of
gotta
bath
be some-
salts or something like that, man.
I'm gonna have to ask Kristan if what's going on up in Wisconsin, because I mean, straight up cray, man, nuts.
That's just wrong.
I know they said that Wisconsin can be boring, you know what I mean?
But damn,
There's not a lot to do in Wisconsin.
I could think
but,
of better things to do.
Come on.
I mean,
Aye, exactly.
why do you only get stories like this coming from America, though, Joe?
Well, wait a minute. I've seen some pretty crazy stories coming from the UK too. You know,
Joe's glitching out.
Glasgow isn't exactly known for its sanity either.
Oh, come on. We're the friendliest city in Europe, and we're also the #1 stab capital of Europe as well. So we stab you, and then we smile as we phone you an ambulance, Joe.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? How good is that?
But
That
Scott,
is honour.
Scott, you found a headline to rival this one here, so we'll bring that up now, right? You can tell us
Yes,
about
I
this
told
one.
you, Joe, I'm going to rival you in the most cliches in one headline. We've got a gay porn star who was booed from several sites for his Nazi tattoos is arrested in a meth raid. So we have a gay Nazi arrested for meth.
Dallas,
A gay
Texas.
porn star.
Why doesn't it? What's going on in Texas as well, Scott? There's a whole heap of insanity down there as well, right?
Well, everything's bigger in Texas, and so obviously the insanity is a lot bigger in Texas. Do you want to take the article there? Or,
Yeah, it says a gay porn star who recently came under fire for his white supremacist tattoos has now been arrested in a drug raid. Timothy Harper, 29, was one of 4 people arrested in Dallas, Texas, home last Thursday, where a SWAT team found more than 1,600 grams of methamphetamine, as well as scales and packaging consistent with narcotics trafficking. He was arrested on a charge of manufacture or delivery of a controlled substance and reportedly admitted to ordering and receiving the drugs. He remains held on a $100,000 bail bond. It says here, the Dallas News reports that Harper is a gay porn actor who works under the name Cameron Diggs.
Wow.
Surely you can think of a better porno name than Cameron
It's
Diggs.
kind of like normal, yeah.
What? That's not a good porno name. Somebody has to have a word with this cat. He's taking too much of his own meth. Last April, he came under fire when gay porn studio Naked Sword, now there's a name, Naked Sword, released a clip of him, and many pointed out that he had Nazi tattoos on his body, including SS bolts on his hips and iron crosses on his chest. Wonder what Hitler would have made of this cat.
I don't know.
Oh, I could just imagine him. Springtime for Hitler in Germany.
Oh, what, man?
Wow.
That's just crazy, man. Naked Sword, though, good name for a porno company.
Not bad, Kev.
I'm
Especially a gay porno.
kind of at a loss here. Yeah. This is
So if the
This
chat,
honor to
somebody
the
needs to
Nazi
somebody needs to get him and the karate lady and everyone there. Yeah, but it sounds like all of a party.
I think people in the chat room you should feel free to give the crew here your very best attempts at making up porno names for us.
Yeah.
Definitely. And Cameron Diggs is not a good name. It's not one you'd go for, boys. Come on. So what else have we got while we wait for these funny names to come into the chat room? Joe, you
I've
sent
already
me.
got one, Kev.
Oh, you got a porno name, John?
Yeah, I remembered. It was Popeye that gave me it. Wally Jissels.
Oh, Johnny Buckets.
Johnny Buckets.
Johnny Buckets. Remember that? That was years ago.
I remember that.
Yes.
We used to call you Buckets, man. We had like the whole, what do you call it?
Oh,
With the
that's right.
Photoshop.
That's when he was on his bender.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. So what's next, guys? We've got this one here. You brought this one up, Joe.
Yeah, Russia. Hey, look at this. How
Oh,
about Russia? Let's go to
Russia.
your let's go to the Kremlin.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Where's the Kremlin one, dude? Link me up again.
Tsarism. Here,
Yes, link me up.
I got one for you. So Russia, again, remember I told you like RT was kind of like the bastion of truth, and it kind of circumvented the whole propaganda wing of the government. You know, your mainstream media. Well, Russia now says a new world order is being formed. Oh, really? You don't say. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov declared today that the Western liberal model of society is dying. And by the way, a new world order is taking its place. Lavrov made the comments at his annual meeting with students and professors at the Foreign Ministry's Diplomatic Academy. This is what he said, quote, "The Western liberal model of development, which particularly stipulates a partial loss of national sovereignty, this is what our Western colleagues aimed at when they invented this thing called globalization. And it's losing its attractiveness and is no more viewed as a perfect model for all. Moreover, many people in the very Western countries are skeptical about it," he said. According to him, global development is guided by processes aimed at boosting multipolarity and what we call polycentric world order. Now, he goes and says clearly multipolarity and the emergence of new centers of power in every way requires effort to maintain global stability and search for balance of interests and compromises. So diplomacy should play a leading role here, particularly because there are a lot of issues that require general acceptable solutions. And these include regional conflicts, international terrorism, food security, and environmental protection. This is why we believe that only diplomacy can help make agreements and reach sustainable decisions that will be accepted by all. Interesting, he goes on, this is where he kind of drops a hammer on him. And he says, the U.S. and its allies are trying to impose their approaches on others. They are guided by a clear desire to preserve their centuries-long dominance in global affairs, although from an economic and financial standpoint, the U.S. alone or with its allies can no longer resolve all global economic and political issues. So in order to preserve their dominance and recover their indisputable authority, they use blackmail and pressure, and they don't hesitate to blatantly interfere in the affairs of sovereign states. Sounds pretty much like the truth to me. And really, you know, Russia is really speaking truth to power. And that's not to say that Putin's not a dictator kind of. No one's going to win an election against him. You know, you basically have just a remake of the USSR, just a little more capitalistic, I guess you could say. But it's still that way. Russia spends like what, 10% of what we spend annually on defense? I think they spend like $80 billion or something like that to our 700. So a little more than 10%, but still, you know, they look at our track record and look at Russia's. Now, Russia's by no means innocent. You take a look at what Stalin did to the Ukrainians. It was bad.
Big time.
You know, you take a look at the Cuban Missile Crisis, all this kind of stuff, you know. We didn't do nice things to one another during the Cold War. And we haven't done nice things to each other since then. But I just don't understand for the life of me why there's so much animosity towards Russia.
Because you need a boogeyman, Joe.
I know you do, but I mean, golly. Let me ask you something, everybody out there, you know. What did the Russians do to you? Those that are out there buying into this narrative. And I know I'm probably preaching to the choir.
Hey, you know, they've never done anything to me. I'm quite pro-Russian myself, as we all know here, you know, quite a little affinity.
You know,
with
like
them.
a lot of these wars and hatred come where there shouldn't be. Muhammad Ali, you know, a lot of people gave him hell for most of his life because they called him a draft dodger. because he said, what did the Vietnamese do to me? Nothing. I can't go to war against them. They didn't do anything to me. And he's absolutely right. You know, so.
And let's face it, that war was more about drugs than anything else in the end of the day, you know?
Sure. But you know what I mean? On a personal level, you know, when you sign on the line, when you go to vote, you're basically putting your name and attaching yourself to that person that you put into office. And so you share a measure of responsibility when that happens, when they do things that run counter to, say, your values or law or other nations' sovereignty, you know. So I don't know, man. That's why I don't vote, because I can't. There hasn't been anybody up there that can live up to my standard.
I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I voted for any of these criminals, man. I'd feel partly responsible for the shit that we're in.
Yeah.
Not any. Yeah. You know, I mean, everyone's got the right to vote or not vote. However, think about it, you know. I see voting as encouraging them. It just maintains the system that we're in. You know, and the longer we keep going back and the longer we keep going to that ballot box, it just keeps on going.
Because they don't give us, you know, Kev, they don't give us the choice to say that there's no good choice. Like, there's no way you can measure those that want to say, I choose not to. Like, I'm gonna vote nobody, and see like how that comes up. No confidence. If you could just have a line for everybody, a no confidence line in there, I wonder by percentage what you would have for a number there. Because you see the low voter turnout, right? But I wonder if you had that option, if you'd have more people come out, and or if you could more accurately measure the discontent out there.
Well, and it's like George Carlin said, right? You know, when he kind of flipped the script on the old saying, you know, if you don't vote, then you're part of the problem. And he was like, no. He said, let's reword that there. He said, if you vote and things go downhill, well, you're the one that you're part of the problem. You're the one that helped put that person into power. You are the one responsible for the current state we're in. Whereas me, on the other hand, who did not vote, have nothing to do with the problem. You know what I mean? I didn't engage in any of that, and therefore I have no response. You know, I'm not held responsible for anything that these douchebags are doing, because I didn't engage in it. I didn't put them into power. You know,
that's the way I see it. Whistles. What about you, man?
Well, Kev, one thing I always think about you, and you can answer me, and I don't know, Joe will probably have a different version for his government, but what do you think would actually happen if nobody voted at all? Everybody just went, enough.
They'd make it mandatory, Johnny. They'd pass a law to make it mandatory. They've tried before.
Somebody in the chat room says one party.
In Australia, you have to.
Somebody in the chat room says one party, two wings. I call it one arsehole, many cheeks. Yeah, it's just a mutated Fukushima asshole. Every cheek a different party, but it's all connected to that same asshole.
Johnny, down under, you get fined. Like, it's an actual crime if you don't vote.
Wow.
That's crazy, but listen, guys.
That's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Because you should have that. You should have that right not to vote for something that you don't see as any benefit to you.
Yeah,
why should you be forced to vote for that?
If the people of the country who are picking somebody out of a list of given candidates to represent them, if nobody is deemed fit enough to represent you, why should you have to vote for one of them?
Exactly.
So, you know, let's rewind, boys, because we can have a laugh here. I was asking the chat room to throw in their porno names for us, and my, oh my, have we got some dazzlers in there? So we'll go to a few of these, right? And we'll start off with, we've got, hang on now, put this in here. We'll start with, I think the chat scrolled a little bit. We've got Naked Sword, that was the one in the thing. We've got Blood Sausage. We have got Cocky Kev, Nude Claymore, Geo Shaft, Dick Diggler, Johnny Schlong, Chuck Loads, Stinky Dangles, Stinky Dangles,
Dangles. Oh my god.
Kev Boinker, Kev Strange Doctor, The Last Fontiette. We had Geo Shaft in there as well. Joe Nanob, Joseph. I like it. Oh, brilliant. Joseph, Wet Your Whistle, Johnny Swagger, Jizz Joseph, Bend Over, Pokey Sanchez, Cross the Swords, Johnny One Eye Whistles. I think we've got more. No, it scrolled away again.
Agreed.
That is priceless. That's brilliant. Absolutely bloody brilliant. No, thanks a lot for that, folks.
Geo Shaft. That might be enough to make me retire that name.
Geo Shaft. I think Ho Joseph has to be one of the better ones as well. But folks, before I forget, you know, if you want to become a member on the channel, you don't have to. But what it does is it supports myself here. You know, it takes away all the worries about, you know, how many views and crap like that you get getting demonetized for talking about this topic, that topic. And let's face it, there's not many topics that we touch on this stream that really are monetized friendly. But what it does is it also gives you all these crazy emojis like Popeye's beard. You get the smoking Elon Musk. You get Chewbacca's. You get Yoda's. There's everything in there. So please consider a little membership. You don't have to if you don't want to. And of course, there's other ways to donate to the stream down below. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you are considering a little donation, please consider going to the PayPal link so that Google don't take the 30%. That's crazy, crazy stuff. But now that that's out of the way, guys, I'm going to look here. There's probably a Pokey Sanchez hilarious. He would jab blow me. Broke back boys. Maybe that's what we should call it. We should the Weekenders with the broke back boys. But guys, I want to discuss something else quickly with you. And Julian Assange, big news this week, right? Really big news. I see you shaking your head there, Whistles. I'm the same as you, man. I got accused. I posted a promo for the show the other day where myself and Scott were going to be talking about WikiLeaks, and I said how it's kind of shocking, you know, really what's happening to Julian Assange. And I got absolutely ripped apart, Johnny, didn't I? Because there seems to be large swathes of people here who think Julian Assange is a bad guy. So I'm going to ask you guys for your thoughts on that. You know, somebody that's been locked up in the Ecuador embassy for 7 years and has also brought us the collateral damage video where we've seen the kind of people getting gunned down over in Iraq.
Civilians getting shot.
We got all of the information. We got all of the information about Vault 7, all of the ways that they can hack into you, spy on you. All of the other stuff that WikiLeaks have done over the years, they've pretty much gone after pretty much anyone that whistleblowers have got documents on. So I'll come to you first, Whistles. Have I got it all wrong? I mean, is Julian Assange, is he a player for the deep state? Is this all just fun and games and theatre to distract us? My personal belief, I don't think so. You know how much influence Assange has had over WikiLeaks since he's been locked up in there? Who honestly knows? Who has the keys to the WikiLeaks kind of website? So I don't even know how much involvement he's had in recent times. But not a bad guy, right?
Well, Kev, the media loved him when he brought out the videos of the... Do you know what I mean? The helicopter shooting civilians on the ground, in vans, in vehicles, and shooting children, everything that was going on.
Oh, hold on, Whistles, hold on. A big shout out to Armand, our latest member of the channel. Thank you, Armand. Love you to bits, man. Awesome. Remember, check out Armand's stream. I want everyone to click on Armand's name. Go and sub to his channel. He does game streams. He does grooming. He's got his little dog as well. Great guy, fellow Scotsman. Go and sub up to Armand. Johnny, sorry for that, man.
No, that's okay, Kev. It's just why have they turned on him just now? Because everybody that said he's a shill. I mean, everything that Julian Assange has brought out so far, every part of it has been true. There's nothing that can be said against him that's, do you know what I mean, that's false. And every source that he's also given about as well has also been true. So why have the media turned against him now? Because they're loving the fact that he has been arrested and he's going to be extradited to America. What's the difference now?
Well, Scott, I'll come to you because I think the media are celebrating because he was really putting egg on the media's face, right? Because here he was basically doing the job that a free press should be doing, and he was showing them up. And that's why they're all falling over themselves saying, yay, let's jail Assange, the one true journalist out there. But that's just my opinion, dude. And we're going to get another alert in a moment. Big shout out to Lisa, another member of the channel. Please enjoy your Popeye emoji. We all know the beard emoji is the best one in there. Maybe it's the smoking Elon, who knows? But thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa. Scotty.
No, and Whistles is exactly right, and I brought it up too when we were talking about it on your show, Kev. They were cheering on Julian Assange when he was exposing all of the Iraq war crimes, right, during the Bush administration. They were basically, you would have thought, maybe he was about to get the Pulitzer Prize in journalism or something like that, maybe because they were. They were like, oh, he's exposing all of this stuff. He's exposing the Iraq war, all of the atrocities going on and all of this stuff. And now, all of a sudden he's public
enemy number one.
Yeah, public enemy number one. And that just shows how biased the media is and how they really are not objective and look at things from an objective standpoint. Assange, he just takes any information that comes to him, and if it looks like that it's something that needs to be put out, exposing corruption or whatever, he'll put it out. And it's not, he's not on the left or the right, or he's not taking sides on anything.
Scott, just to add to that, right? Just to add to that, we've got a couple of people in the chat room have said he's fake, and we've got Angela now. And Angela, please don't think I'm picking on you, because this is a common, commonly held thought out there that he's an agent. I don't see how he can be an agent when he's been going after both sides.
Let's say this. How can, first of all, how do you come to a conclusion like that?
See, this is what's happened.
Unless there's but that's exactly right. Just like the New Zealand, the NZ, right? NZ says, oh, fake. False flag. SH, false flag. That, false flag, right? Just time after time after time. And that's what happens. They perpetrate these events, if you will, and then everything becomes it. Everything happens, So how do you draw a conclusion when you can't tell what's real and what's fake? That's my question. You just can't. I can't. I don't know. If you can, then you figured out something that is just unbelievable, and so many people are clamoring for it.
No, you're right. You're right. And Scott, you said to me the other night, this is all going to be part of the plan, right? And it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a matter of time before the Q-tards came out and started pushing the narrative.
Right on.
They started pushing the narrative that, well, this is all part of the plan. That this is all set up to get Assange into the United States. That way, when he goes to court, he can testify about, Seth Rich and the DNC stuff, and it'll all be exposed. It'll all be blown up. It's all part of the plan, Kev. Just trust the plan.
Okay, we're going to have a lot of alerts here in a moment. Jane, thank you for becoming a sponsor of the channel. And we're going to have one read out in a moment from Just a Guy.
Yes.
Wait. It'll read it. Okay.
Let's all burn one and get some woo going. What do y'all know about the chronovisor?
Excellent. Doesn't she say chronovisor really well?
Chronovisor.
Yeah.
Right, we'll get to the chronovisor right after we've finished our Assange. Absolutely brilliant topic we can get into. Brilliant stuff. But I think we've got probably another one alert coming on the screen in a moment. We'll see. I'm not too sure. But yeah. So, sorry, Scott. Joe, I don't know who I cut off there. Take it away, whoever was talking. I think it was Scott on the Q-tards.
Yeah, wasn't me.
Yeah. I was just saying, so Assange gets arrested. It's terrible, right? And even then, he got the Q-tards coming out saying, well, it's all part of the plan. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And so, you have this group of people that believe that Trump can do no wrong, right? When it's actually the Trump administration that's wanting him to be extradited to the United States.
Right.
People won't admit that.
When
right?
prior to the election, Scotty, he was big on the Assange. So he was like almost a supporter of Assange.
Joe,
much
he came
like
out,
he was a supporter of Russia.
We played a clip the other night where somebody had put together 144 times that Trump had mentioned WikiLeaks and how damned great they were in the last month of his campaign. 1 month alone.
Sure.
And then just the other day when he's asked in the Oval Office, what do you think of Assange? Well, I don't know I don't know anything about WikiLeaks. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Don't know. What an absolute asshole. Not that there was ever any doubt in my mind.
It just shows that these people will use anything that may be to their advantage, and they'll utilize it, they'll milk it or whatever. But then when it becomes, not so, they'll just turn their back and backstab people, right?
Yeah.
Or turn their back on somebody on the flip of a dime.
Right.
So when it was beneficial to Trump for WikiLeaks to be releasing stuff that was in his benefit, then he was all about it, right? But now, if there's something going on with Assange that, if it's to Trump's benefit to indict him or put him in jail or bring him back to the U.S. for some reason, then he'll do that too. Assange doesn't mean anything to Trump. You know what I mean? As long as the information was helping Trump, then he was all about it. But if it's not, then then I don't know anything about WikiLeaks. What are you talking about?
Whistles.
What about the fact that we know he's going to be extradited, okay? But what do you think that Britain is going to gain for this? Because there's no way that they are just going to hand him over. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure some deal has been made. What do you think that might be, Kev?
No, I just think that he is the enemy of governments. And I think the UK will be quite happy to hand him over. I really do, John. I don't think there'll be any kickback from America, anything like that. I think they'll be just quite happy to get Julian Assange off our soil and get him dealt with. But that's just my opinion. What do you think, Joe, Scott?
I also wonder, this is another thing I wonder, what kind of backroom political deal was made between Trump and his detractors, right? The Democrats. What kind of deal was made to where maybe the Democrats said, you know what? We're going to give you some stuff. We're going to help you out. We might pass some things. We might help you with the wall. We might do some things that you want to do. However, give us Assange. Let us have Assange, and then maybe we can work something out and get some stuff passed. Some legislation passed or something.
And don't forget
what I wonder.
Yeah, don't forget the IMF loan as well, Scott. Joe, Ecuador got 42 million off the IMF, or billion, I don't know what it was.
With a B.
With a B, there you go. So I think that's probably blood money, Assange money, shall we call it?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
that's part of it.
You don't get to the top by being Mr. Nice Guy. And typically when you deal with this kind of stuff, it's all dirty, dude. It's all dirty. Right, Scotty?
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I mean, the Democrats have been obstructing everything that Trump wants to do, right, his agenda. And so they said, you know what, maybe we won't obstruct. We'll actually do some stuff. Just hand him over. Just hand him over. And, you get Assange out of the way, then, WikiLeaks becomes, I would say, not as effective, right? Because then people are going to start distrusting anything that comes out of WikiLeaks because Assange isn't at the helm. You know what I mean? And so then people are going to be like, well, is the information they're putting out actually true, and all of this stuff. And you're going to have a whole bunch of people saying, well, now WikiLeaks is co-opted or taken over, and all of this stuff. So
remember also that part of that leak, what was it? Not the Pentagon Papers, but the Panama Papers.
Yeah, the Panama Papers
showed that Lenin Moreno had a bunch of had at least one offshore account where he was, this guy's a communist or a socialist, and you're not supposed to have that, right? You're supposed to be all about equality and everything else. But what happens with socialism is not that. You end up having a very strong oligarchy at the top, and then you have all the bottom feeders like us. And he got called out in the Pentagon or the Panama Papers. That was published by WikiLeaks, and it's stuck in his craw ever since. And this was it. He had a chance to do it, and he did it.
And the thing is that Ecuador, when Assange went into basically going to the embassy and finding asylum there, basically, they had an entirely different government at the time, Ecuador. And, you got this new guy in who was not sympathetic to Assange at all, so that became a big problem where you had somebody sympathetic towards your cause, giving you safe harbor in your embassy. And now all of a sudden the entire kind of government changed to somebody that wasn't sympathetic to you and saw it as a problem, and then it was very easy for the IMF to come in and be like, hey, let's hook you up with 42 million. And, like I said, whatever possible backroom deals were being made between probably the Trump administration and the Democrats. And, you never know. So, and that's where it has led today, and we knew he wasn't going to be able to be held up in that embassy forever. At some point he was going to have to leave.
Scott, have any of you heard about Julian Assange's friend who was a software developer, and he
disappeared, didn't he?
Well, he was supposed to have been arrested in Ecuador.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard, and I don't know what he's been arrested for, but they've arrested him anyway, and he's under there.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that, but it wouldn't surprise me being that the current government in Ecuador is not sympathetic to Assange and is actually pretty hostile towards him. So anybody associated with WikiLeaks probably would get arrested in Ecuador.
And of course, the Panama Papers that WikiLeaks put out, that pretty much put them in the crosshairs as well, right? When you show where all these criminal politicians are keeping their money offshore and things like that. So his coat's been on a shaky hook. I definitely think, everything is as we've been told. I think he's been holed up in there and basically like solitary confinement in a building that isn't meant for living in for 7 years. He got dragged out of that place, just like we've seen. And it's, again, just my opinion. I don't find there's anything fake about this at all. And it's almost like a program that's running in the conspirasphere where, because there is so much things that we know they do fake, that doesn't mean everything is fake, and we shouldn't just jump to that knee-jerk reaction. And again, I'm not telling people what to think because I'm no better than anyone else, but it just seems a bit silly sometimes, Joe.
And it's harder and harder to draw conclusions because of just the sheer amount of noise,
shenanigans
that it's out there. That's why I think we should focus on something more. So here I was, right? And I had my chronovisor on.
Good, because we're getting into the chronovisor in a minute. Definitely, dude.
And the chronovisor showed me the magnetic field of the Earth has totally and completely collapsed, and everybody was dying of cancer, and it just wasn't good.
Okay, for anyone out there who's wondering what the hell is a chronovisor, I first came across this when I was talking to Andy Bishago, who claims he was part of a government/military child time travel project. And the chronovisor, as it says here, it's even in Wikipedia, it must be right.
Oh, look at this.
The chronovisor was
Yeah,
allegedly a functional time viewer described by Father Francois Brun in his 2002 book, Le Nouveau Mystère du Vatican. Oh, we're getting feedback away now. Brun is the author of several books on the paranormal and religion. Now, in the book, Brun relates that the chronovisor was built by Pellegrino Ernetti, and that he lived between 1925 and 1994, an Italian priest and scientist. Now, although Ernetti was a real person, the existence or functionality of a chronovisor has never been confirmed, and its alleged capabilities are strongly reminiscent of the fictional time viewer which features in T.L. Sherard's 1947 science fiction novella, E for Effort. Long story short, folks, this is meant to be a piece of technology where, as opposed to travelling to a future time or a past event, it allows you to view, almost like a crystal ball, shall we say.
Or like remote viewers, yeah.
Yeah, remote viewers. Now, I can't definitively sit here and hand you the documents that prove that they've got said chronovisor.
Of course.
However, when you've got quantum computers that we know about, and God knows what else we don't know about, let me just ask you, do you think it's an impossibility that they have something like this?
Oh, absolutely. That they probably do. I don't know about a chronovisor, but at the same time, you've got the CIA that's admitted to remote viewing. You know, that at a minimum. I mean, I can't think of a better parallel, I guess you can say, than a chronovisor. Is like remote viewing and utilizing existing human capability, or maybe even amplifying it, if you will. Adam Sarah in the chat room. Bashago's a con man. Yeah, he and I have similar opinions of some of these people, but it is what it is. I think that basically you can call it anything you want. Capability is capability, and do I think they have that? To some extent, I do. I just don't know how accurate it is, or even how much they use it. But even look at psychics, right? How many of those psychics do you see on TV that go to old crime scenes and can basically see it in their head when they get there?
Yep.
Does that make it nefarious, or is it just like I say, it's a capability, and then you maybe have some sort of device that amplifies that capability? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about viewing future events, Scott, because there's so many different things that could happen between now and tomorrow, so many random decisions and events that could be made. That would suggest that everything is predestined, predetermined. And even though you think you're making a random choice when one day you would usually walk left, you think, I'm going to screw things up and go right, it was always going to be that way. So do you think our futures, our lives are all planned out that way? Because that's the only way I can see a chronovisor giving you an accurate vision of the future.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to look at it from a religious or biblical standpoint, then I guess God does have a plan and he knows how everything's going to end, right? So maybe there is a predetermined future for us. But still, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about if the chronovisor exists. Isn't it supposed to be located in the Vatican archives?
Or so they say.
Or so they say. Yes,
It's at CERN now. Come on, we all know it's at CERN now, Scott. It's sitting in the Alice detector. We know it.
That's right.
But whether the chronovisor exists or not, I'm sure they're working on technology like that. And you brought up quantum computing, quantum, and all that stuff, and pulling information from multiple dimensions and things like that. I mean, there's definitely work being done in that realm. So, we know that the technology they have is way beyond what we know now, right? I mean, they're like, what, 30, 40 years ahead in the technology that they actually are developing and working on, and then they slowly roll it out to the population once they don't have a need for it anymore and they've moved on to bigger and better things. And then we just act like it's something new because we've never seen it. So I don't know. Like I said, I personally, of course I don't really, I don't think the chronovisor is an actual thing, but like Joe said, do you even need a chronovisor to see the future or do that? We've had remote viewers, we have people that can have visions into the, that say that they have visions of the future, dreams and stuff like that. So do you even really need a piece of technology to do something like that? I think you just need to find the kind of people who are able to tap into that kind of ability just through their mind. And that's really all you need.
Yeah. You're probably right there with the people that are actually doing it anyway, remote viewing, stuff like that. I like to think there's a chronovisor, and I certainly,
yes,
and I certainly think,
I like the idea of it.
I certainly think, there's going to be people out there, DARPA funded, probably InQtel funded companies that are striving to get something like that. But one guy I came across years ago, first heard him on Freeman Fly's show. Love Freeman Fly. He's still going strong today. But it was this guy here, Dr. David Lewis Anderson. And he's the man behind something called the Time Institute. Now, in his interviews, and, keep an open mind, go and listen to it. There's a lot of stuff about him on the net. Not so much recently. Maybe he's passed away. I've not checked in some time. If he has, then, God bless him and that, and obviously. But what he talks about is the fact that there is temporal technology. And not only that, but other countries around the world have it as well. And when any time any of these countries, be it Russia or Saudi Arabia, I think were the two that he mentioned, any time they fire up this kind of temporal technology, they're able to detect it because it causes fluctuations in some field that they all pick up on. Now, Dr. David Lewis Anderson, for anyone out there interested in time travel, all that kind of stuff, I urge you to go and look into it. I'll pull up the Time Institute in a moment. But did you ever hear of this guy when he was doing the rounds, folks? Did you ever come across Dr. David Lewis Anderson? No?
Never heard of him.
No? Dang. Anyone in the chat heard of this cat? Time Institute.
When you talk about temporal technology, for some reason it makes me think of Cerebro from the X-Men. That Professor swears on his...
Dr. David Lewis Anderson, Time... Dude, I'm trying to think, is it the Time Institute? Yeah, I think so. We'll try that. There used to be a website, and now there's no website. Well, that makes it even more intriguing, doesn't it? Yes, the strange case of Dr. David Lewis Anderson. Roughly during 2009, 2010, a man by the name of Dr. David Lewis Anderson stepped forward into the public arena with compelling dialogue about time travel, armed with a state-of-the-art website and a gift of soft-spoken, articulate communication, which left his audiences spellbound. Dr. Anderson made the rounds on various radio shows, and he also had a Facebook page. Where is Dr. David Lewis Anderson today? Well, nobody knows. In fact, a search for his website, there it is there, the AndersonInstitute.com, comes up empty. The site is not even available on Internet Archive sites that I could find. His Facebook page is down. What is worse is that Internet Chit Chat is saying Dr. David or Dr. Anderson may even be a fraud, a hoaxer, or a scammer. We all get called that on a daily basis as well, so I don't think that really means anything. Says, I used to schedule radio shows during this time period, and I did schedule him to appear on our show. The interview turned out to be one of the best that we had done. We were flabbergasted at Dr. Anderson's report of research that he and his colleagues at the Anderson Institute were conducting. We hung on his every word. He also spoke of how time travel has been researched in many countries and making great gains. Since then, Dr. Anderson has been on such prestigious shows such as Coast to Coast AM. Now, at the time, there was stuff that he said he couldn't actually get into because it was government funded. Now, I wonder if that explains the fact that his website and every trace on the internet of him and his technology have gone dark. Again, just me speculating here, guys. Just me speculating, but I would urge anyone to go and check out some of the older interviews, see what you make of it. But the fact you can't even find it on the Wayback Machine, and again, I've not searched, we're going by this website here, that's intriguing. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, well, to say, I mean, to have your website pulled down is one thing, but to have it removed from like Internet Archives and, like you said, the Wayback Machine,
there was an effort to erase that.
Yeah. And like I say, there was some parts he couldn't go into on Freeman. He's like, I can't actually tell you about that bit because that's classified. That's part of our government contracts. And that's what's making me wonder, well, did it all go under the government umbrella? Did this go very dark? Is this in one of your underground bases type thing now, Joe?
Maybe, and it doesn't take much to make things disappear. People's attention span, and it's of no fault of anybody. It just ends up being that we're so saturated with input and just so overloaded that you just lose track of this stuff. And, you're on to something else. So it's very easy for them to kind of muck up, the infosphere, if you will. And that's kind of where we're at. I mean, I can't believe it. But then again, I can, especially when you talk about this kind of technology. If it, in fact, it's as advanced as Dr. Anderson said, then, yeah, I can see why they'd want it.
He was basically saying, Joe, that you could watch time being slowed down, the effects of time, or being speeded up. One of these ones where you see the plant growing, just for example. That's the way it played out in my head. The plant was there, turn on the machine, and brrr, plant grows in front of your eyes, kind of thing, in that chamber. Whether it's true, whether it's not, very interesting. Time travel itself. Is there any human out there that isn't slightly interested by time travel? It's one of these kind of affectionate topics that I'm sure at some point, even if it was just as a child, everyone wondered what it would be like to travel in time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is it's so controversial, not just from a moralistic standpoint, but just from a scientific standpoint. You start talking about paradoxes and everything else. You wonder if it's even possible to physically do that,
Well, and the interesting thing is that time travel actually does exist, but the faster you go, doesn't time slow down?
Yeah.
Right. So
I guess you're right.
So time travel really does exist in that way. It's just the faster you go, the slower time goes.
We're always traveling in time, right? Time's always moving. It's always moving forward,
And it's always relative. Time is relative to each individual.
Don't astronauts have to reset their watches after they've been in space because they've literally traveled in time? I mean, albeit a very short amount, a very small increment, but they really did time travel because their clocks are completely different than here on Earth. And so, like, when we have astronauts traveling to Mars, they're going to be traveling in time. They're going to be flying at an incredible speed to get to Mars, and by the time they get there, their clocks are going to be completely different than on Earth. And so, yeah, I mean, it does exist in that way. But as far as like a crazy, time traveling machine of some kind or some kind of time technology, I'm sure they're working on it. They have to be working on it. They have to be looking into that because they know the nature of quantum physics. They know the the different sort of mechanisms at play, and that is part of it, right? That quantum mechanics and quantum physics does bring up the whole time travel thing. So they got to be working on it, man.
Okay, before I go to Joe, whistles, time travel. We've often speculated about this on the show, dude. We love this kind of talk, but do you think it's happening? Is it real in your mind, Johnny? Thank you very much, Natalie. Look at that. You get the zombie running across the screen. Awesome. Natalie, thank you so
fantastic.
much. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, the time travel, Kev, it's a really hard one, because if you listen to the scientists, they will say that we don't have that ability just now. But do we really? That is the thing. I'm really not sure that we do have that ability right now to be able to time travel.
What do you think, Joe?
Johnny, listen to this. Let me pose this question to you. What if...
Riddle me this.
Would you consider it time travel? Kev, yesterday on Freaky Friday, I brought up this Medical Express article. A future human brain cloud interface will give people instant access to vast knowledge via thought alone. What if, we jack in a la Matrix or whatever, or like Ready Player One or however the heck that is, only you're transported back to, say, Gettysburg. You want to play out Gettysburg? You want to go do that? Go ahead. Would that not be, in a way, time travel? You're traveling back in time to an event recreated in the cloud?
It's virtual time travel, eh?
Yeah, virtual time travel. Yeah. What do you think?
I think that's probably more realistic, Joe, logically, than think of the energy you would probably need to use, to shift yourself out of this time into another time. You're going to have to leave this dimension because time, space-time, it's all tied together, right? So you need to leave this dimension somehow and come back into a different point. I don't know. I'm liking the virtual time travel. I think that's a really good thing.
I think because look at the amount of energy, Johnny, that it takes just to operate CERN.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So to do something in a fashion that would leave a portal open, or a way to do that, I'm just thinking, man, you're right. That power would be ginormous that you need, and why go about all that when you can just virtually do it, especially now, and with the technology that we have. Or
what I think is quite interesting. Scotty, we're quite big fans of the new Star Trek, right? Discovery, the mycelial network that they use for jumping about here, there, and everywhere. They've also got this character called the Red Angel that is able to travel throughout time. And I wonder, they pay homage to Stamets. They've obviously looked into the science very, very closely, Scott. And I wonder what made them go down that time road, I wonder where they're pulling that from.
I don't know, man. I mean, of course it is sci-fi, so you can't have sci-fi with some kind of time travel, right? I mean, that's been a major focus of Star Trek since the very beginning. There's always been something where they've traveled through a wormhole, or they get teleported somewhere, and there's always a time travel element to it. But no, but I've also brought up the point that Star Trek was also used to kind of prepare the population for upcoming technological advancements, right?
Well, I think that's what they're doing with the whole mycelial network. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the original Star Trek, right, you had the communicators, that's your cell phones today, and that was way ahead of its time, 1960s, and they're over there. It was like their communicators looked like the flip phones, right? Nokia flip phone. And just all of the different things that you saw in that show that ended up actually, coming to fruition.
And that was the 23rd century they envisioned it, right? So 23rd century, and it happened 30 years later or so. Wow. These technologies, Scotty, tend to come to fruition a lot much faster than we envision it.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was talking about yesterday on Freaky Friday, that we envision the future like, oh, that's going to be like 100 years from now. And then it ends up being something like 10 years, a fraction of the time. And so, that stuff was being portrayed in Star Trek, like you said, 23rd century. and it ended up coming to fruition like within 40 years. You know, wild stuff, man.
Oh, it is wild, and I'm glad Just a Guy got us onto this path, because you can't be a bit chronovisor and stuff, Johnny, but a time travel on the live stream, you know?
No, definitely. But whether we'll see it or not, Kev, I don't know. But
Oh, we'll never get a shot of it, that's for sure. It'll be...
Oh, no.
It definitely won't be something that we'll be getting access to anytime soon, that's for sure. Maybe that's what they found down in Antarctica. Maybe that's why they were all going down there. I'm just kind of messing, folks, you know. I'm sure that was pyramids and ancient technology of another kind. Whether it was time machines, who honestly knows? You got a lot of these
definitely
pictures.
something down there, Kev.
Well, you got a lot of these pictures of famous people that look like they were around in the Civil War and stuff like that. Nicolas Cage springs to mind. He's got a photograph out there back in the day.
And Adam Sarah in the chat room said, but if the Deagle site is right, we may never achieve that future as we believe it will. Yeah.
Well, hang on a minute. We've got Costa, who joined the channel. I have actually time traveled. Now, Costa, I hope you're going to tell me that you were just traveling across time zones, like in a plane or something, because if we've got a real bona fide time traveler in the chat room, I need to tell you to head over to Apex TV. Because Apex TV, they've got the monopoly on time travelers, right? I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute. Yeah, if you're a bona fide time traveler, you go to this place in Australia that's got a YouTube channel, and they have got the only functioning time machine. So if anyone needs to get home to their own time, you head down to Adelaide, you look for that channel, and you're out of here. Bingo. Honestly, I'll bring it up, guys. I'm going to show people what I mean. I hate that channel.
Kev, you know, Kev, Apex TV... That is where the time travelers are told to go so that they can be debriefed.
You think so?
That's what it is.
Man, you see, now we're getting closer to, maybe we're getting closer to the truth here, you know? But look how many time travelers turn up at Apex TV.
That's something else.
Right, there's one that took a picture of a dinosaur. Why he's worried about having his face blacked out if he's from a different time period, a bit beyond me. Or it could be the fact that people that went to school with him are going to call him an absolute shell-line bastard. I don't know, maybe. So we've got one there. We've got, this looks like a different time traveler here. We've got somebody from 2033. We've got Noah.
Holy moly. He's got 1 million subs?
Yeah, big bucks in the time travel business.
Never knew it was so lucrative.
I mean, if I had a working time machine, I'd be just getting people to go and put bets on for me here, there, and everywhere. I wouldn't be running a YouTube channel, but hey, what do I know?
You see, Joe, he went into the future and he saw how many subs he got, and then he went back and started the channel.
I see. Wow.
So we've got one here from the year 2600. Why they need to be blacked out, I don't know. One from 4413. Wow, he's a long way into the future, that cat. We've got somebody from the year 6000, so the good news is, folks, the planet's still here. We've got 2030. Yeah, there's Noah. Noah's one of their famous ones. Men in Black, caught on tape, dude in a suit. We've got somebody, again.
So ridiculous.
I have become a very skeptical man, Joe. Very skeptical man.
I am so pleased.
Right, okay, hang on.
At your skepticism progress.
You like it? We've got Costas back in the chat. I lived in Glasgow as a young man, moved to Falkirk, where time stood still, and moved back to Glasgow, and it was a different city from when I left. Apex TV, don't believe me. Costa, I absolutely love you. If I could become a member of your channel, I would, dude. That's brilliant, man. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But we're going to be coming up towards the end of the stream soon. Need to get Joe back to his family. Let Scotty go chill out. Let Whistles and me get to bed. So we're going to hang out in the chat for the next 5-10 minutes or so. You can put your questions to us.
You guys got a question?
Yeah, put it in capital letters. Either
of Bass Lake.
What do you say there, Joe?
Jamie Piper in the chat room. What's on the bottom of Bass Lake? Bass turds. Nice.
Yeah,
Bass turds.
that works.
And if you happen to be watching on DLive, you can ask questions in that chat too. I'm paying attention there.
Absolutely. Hey, what do you got coming up this week? Have anything good?
Wait a minute. There are remote viewing teams that hit casinos?
Yeah.
Wow.
Could you imagine? Well, I mean, that's pretty lucrative, I got to imagine.
John Titor was the first internet time traveler. He was the first one I heard of. Yeah.
Same here, right?
Yeah. Did anyone ever debunk that? I mean, that kid's alive, right? I mean, they were both like alive in the same time period, right?
Yeah.
That's a bit weird, wasn't it? Because there was like a young child. There was a family that, I mean, they had a lawyer and things. I heard the lawyer going on Clyde Lewis's one night to talk because that kid was growing up at the time, the real John Titor. Weird one. Is Nessie a time traveler? Really good question.
Well, definitely no, Nessie's a shapeshifter, right, kid?
Interdimensional shapeshifter. And if you're interdimensional, well, there is no time, Joe. No time. I don't know.
Time is relative. It really, truly is, you know? People's perception of time is as unique as the fingerprint.
Any
on there.
positive news this week? Trying to think. Anything good happened in the world?
I don't know. Let me see.
Yeah, I know.
Whistles! Whistles!
Yeah, you know China.
Yeah.
It's kind of horrible to its people. Okay?
Just kinda.
Right? Now, what about this one? See all the people that were hurt or it's caused death by the big pharma companies in China.
Uh-huh.
It's allowed older people to sue them.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Honestly.
No,
That's
that's
big news.
cool, man. That's cool. I'm going to check that out, dude. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is the thing. We focus so much on the negative, on the fakery out there, on the conspiracy, and there's rarely anything good going on if you're in the conspiracy world. It's usually the negative, the kind of more depressing stuff out there. But there's always good things happening in the world, Joe.
The world's biggest airplane took its first flight. The Strato launch. Basically, it's the world's largest airplane to launch rockets into space. Had its first test flight in the Mojave Desert. It's got a 385-foot wingspan. Yeah, it's crazy. It's bigger than a football field.
Yeah, move over, Spruce Goose. There's a new
500,000-pound plane, 6 giant jet engines, dual fuselage, just an absolute beast.
Check that out.
Listen to this. The world's largest airplane took off for the first time ever. This is TheVerge.com. Built by Stratolaunch. I just gave the statistics. It was a critical first test flight, designed to launch rockets into orbit from the air. Lasted 150 minutes. Designed to fly to an altitude of 35,000 feet, where it can drop rockets that ignite their engines and boost themselves into orbit around the planet. Now, there's already the Pegasus XL rocket by Northrop Grumman is said to have already bought a spot on Stratolaunch to launch into space. And then, of course, we had the Falcon Heavy launch. So your boy Elon had a success this week with the Falcon Heavy. That's an enormous rocket.
It's huge.
Enormous. Yeah.
And they managed to land all of the boosters.
Yep.
They landed side boosters and the center booster. So for the first time, so it was a completely successful launch.
Yep.
So
there's that plane there. That is pretty massive, man.
It's massive, man.
So what? Do you have two? Do you have two people flying that? There's like 2 cockpits.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know like the logistics of it, and I would imagine that you might, only because you got 2 tails, right? I don't know how that plays in the whole dual fuselage thing. At the same time, wouldn't you think it'd be a little confusing, like if the pilots aren't in sync with one another and one does one thing and one does the other?
Yeah, like if one's a Trump supporter and one's a Hillary supporter, man, you're going to get some bad juju in there.
Yeah.
I think the actual pilots are on one side, and I think the other side is kind of like a crew that is like a lookout, like looking.
Or maybe like fail-safe. Maybe it's 2 identical cockpits, and if you have like some sort of technical problem, you can switch over to the other.
There's Whistle's story, and this actually comes from last year, November 2018. China planned to let Victims sue vaccine makers for punitive damages
Well,
after a string of
wouldn't that be
scandals.
nice over here?
So I'm assuming, Johnny, that's the law that's now passed then. If this was talking about it in November, that's pretty cool. That's
That
good
is
stuff.
cool.
Yeah. Good stuff. And
You
somebody
just wish that happened here, you know?
yeah, somebody in the chat room was asking, what are your thoughts on KFC's Colonel being turned into a virtual Instagram influencer? I hadn't heard about this. What's the Colonel up to, dude?
Colonel Sanders?
Colonel Sanders, man.
Really?
I'm going to try and dig this up. Hang on. KFC
Who knew?
Colonel.
Who gives a shit?
And
I'm just saying. It's like,
he is as well.
lad.
He is as well. Here we go, boys. Here we go. We'll go to the Lad Bible for this one. We'll see what it's saying here. Look at him. Look at the virtual Colonel. Isn't he looking good? He looks like he should be going by the name of Naked Chicken.
oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
Naked Chicken Wing. Yeah, here we go. These days, pretty much anyone or anything can become Insta famous if they know how, whether it's an egg, a globe-trotting chihuahua, or a woman who smashes her face into loaves of bread. Well, the latest, a very well-known fried chicken brand, which has turned itself into a suave virtual influencer on social media. That's right, we're talking about KFC, which has created a very modern take on the famous face of the company, Colonel Harland Sanders. Unlike the cheery cartoon you're used to seeing on buckets of fried chicken, the Instagram version has a far more hipster vibe. He's a soy boy. Showing off a tattoo across his stomach that says the secret recipe for success. It's his virtual stomach, may I add.
Oh my.
It says here his bio says he's a virtual influencer. Look at him, he's looking cool there, man.
Just that alone, guys. Just that title, that term is derogatory to me. Just an influencer. What? You know, it's like influencer. You got like what? Jade, what's her name? The one that's getting kicked out of USC now. Lori Loughlin's daughter. She's an influencer. The Kardashians, influencers. Are you serious?
Basically what that means is that
People-
the sheep will follow them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And it just to me, if that is exactly, if they have that label, that's exactly who I'm telling my kids not to watch. Period. Not doing it. And I don't know Instagram enough to, what is that?
That's what I want to see, guys. I want to see the live action anime
Guys.
of Colonel Sanders versus Ronald McDonald.
Check this out, though. Check this out. I
What's
seen
that?
this the other day. Look, Indian politician uses holograms to address hundreds of rallies. I'm going to play a couple of seconds of this. We're going to be discussing it, so it blatantly does fall under fair use. But now, we don't have physical politicians hitting the campaign trail. They send their holograms. Check it out. There you go. That's a taste of the holographic politician. And just to go back to the story here, in fact, that was actually an older one. In fact, that is an older one. There's one this week. I think he's in the Philippines or somewhere. I'll try and dig it up. But I mean, that was back in 2017. And
Oh, yeah. Drudge had a,
did Drudge have it?
so it has something on a virtual politician.
Yeah, was
What
it?
the heck
I think it was Indonesia, Philippines, something like that, maybe.
Yang to campaign as a hologram. Presidential candidate Andrew Yang will use 3D holograms for remote rallies. This is a Democratic presidential candidate here in the United States. Revealed this week, this is according to Engadget.com, that he's planning to use 3D holograms to hold campaign rallies in multiple cities at the same time. Yang discussed the hologram during an appearance on TMZ Live. The segment showed off a hologram version of Yang dancing and performing with the famous Tupac hologram that appeared at Coachella in 2012.
And this is what.
So there you go. So it's an actual presidential candidate here, and I think he's Silicon Valley, Andrew Yang.
Yeah, you know, I haven't looked much
And
into
this
Yang,
is-
you know, but
There it
I
is
know
there.
a lot of people that are, there's a lot of people that are like on the Yang train. I don't know what his whole platform is. I mean, he's running as a Democrat, but I don't know. Yeah, he's one of these tech guys.
How long then, boys? How long then? You have to ask how long before we get our first fully virtual AI politician. You know, like the newscaster that you see in China, totally made by CGI, totally, you know, everything controlled by the AI. How long? I don't think it's that far away. I really don't. I really don't.
I don't either.
You know, and this also goes into the whole thing of how do you even know what you're seeing on TV is real? You know,
you don't know nothing. You know nothing anymore. It's crazy.
The deep fakes, the AI, the way, you know, it could generate something that looks completely legit, and you don't even know if, like, the politician you're looking at is even real.
The movie is a documentary now.
You're right, Lich. You are right.
Yes.
The first person that ever said that to me was Melissa Dykes.
Yeah.
And at the time, I hadn't even seen the movie, and I thought, "Oh, come on, this looks like some comedy thing." And then you go and watch it, and damn right, it's spot on. In fact, wouldn't you think the further we get into this crazy future, it becomes more kind of accurate? It's almost more of a documentary the further into the future we go.
And if you think about it, Trump is actually pretty damn close to being Camacho. You know what I mean? As far as like a reality TV show, sort of over the top kind of guy. You know, of course, everything is, you know, blown out of, you know, the movie is over the top and ridiculous, but it's really not that far off from where we're at. So.
Well, we're almost out of time, folks, but we've got another message coming in here from Just a Guy. And I've had so much fun today. I really have. I don't even know if we're still going out on DLive. Yeah, we are. We're still going out live there.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Yeah. GeoShift. Flat Earth is a psyop.
Good.
Yeah.
Geo. Thank you.
Can we change your name to GeoShaft?
Yeah.
Can we? There we go.
See, I can see so much problems coming with this name. I'm going to have to do something about that.
Me love you a long, long time. Have a great night.
Come on, Just a Guy. You're meant to pay me $5 before you love me long time. Me love you long time. $5. Me sucky fucky whore. Oh, Mr. Joe, me love you long time.
Only $2, man. $2.
$2. Is that all I'm worth? 2 cents. I'm all yours, folks. No, thank you so much, folks. And I just want to thank everyone for chilling out, hanging out. You people in the chat room, it's honestly my biggest fear about live streaming are trolls. And why I'm worried about that, I have no idea, because for some reason so far, we don't get them, guys.
Well, we've got some good mods in there too, though.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll be back.
And very, very, very fair too, to be, you know.
Yes, you don't. Yes. Yes. That's all we'll say there. Yes. Very fair mods.
Yeah,
and
very
we
fair.
will be back tomorrow with the beard. He will no doubt want to. Yes, the beard will drag us on. Live bearding on YouTube.
Live bearding.
Live bearding, you know, it really has different kind of connotations in my mind to live streaming. Live bearding sounds like something you'd probably find Cameron Diggs getting up to in his latest movie. And for anyone tuning in late, you'll need to go and Google who Cameron Diggs is, because we ain't going down that rabbit hole again, right? No.
Oh, sir.
No. So, boys, I'll let you say your farewells. I'll put on my shite music and we'll get out of here.
Arrivederci, everyone.
Yes. Do you have fun, Whistles?
Arrivederci as well.
Come on, Whistles, this is your beginning.
This has been amazing, mate.
You see, Whistles?
Fantastic.
See, Whistles, this is good stuff. I'm so glad you're here. I'm just I'm ecstatic. Tickled even.
And I want to thank, I can't even take time to thank everyone in the chat. We've still got over 200 viewers all the way. Thank you all so much. Keep it real. Question everything. Keep your mind open, but not to the point where your brain falls out. We'll be back tomorrow. Love each and every one of you. God bless and good night. And Joe, give us a dance.
No dance.
Me love you long time, Joe. $5.
And shout out to anybody that was watching on DLive.
Big shout out. It's a very good point, Scott. How remiss of me for forgetting we're simulcasting to DLive. We'll be back on both platforms tomorrow. Catch you all later.